peace. So I put my money and my heart where my mouth is. And to me, as I see it, as from my end, as I'm watching, listening to you and others, is that there should be a negotiation for some kind of a peace. I tell the story of, there's a famous chart of Napoleon's march to Moscow when he leaves Poland with 420,000 troops. He comes back with 10,000. Then there was Adolf Hitler's Operation Barbarossa that killed 27 million Russians. And they were the first ones to conquer Germany. So to me, it's all of this armaments that are being sent in to keep escalating this war. And you mentioned about the missiles, et cetera. Are they really effective? To me, it's making a bad situation worse. And I'm very sad that there's no really pushing for peace. And so I'm concerned also that this might be the beginning of World War III, because they're really ratcheting up on the NATO end. And anyway, that's just, so hearing what you were saying.
Yeah.
And
it is concerning, and a ceasefire really has to be the first piece of a puzzle in ending the war. I mean, you can't really negotiate terms of ending a war while there's still sort of huge amounts of conflict happening. And so that really, that is sort of the first cornerstone, or just a, maybe even if it's not a full scale, but just sort of ratcheting down the hostilities to at least begin with. But right now, with the violence at the level it is, it's very hard to kind of negotiate any terms for a Russian exit.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Russia's going to exit at all. And as you said, it'll be going on for a guerrilla war, even if they win. And so
but I mean, Russia has just sustained so many losses of its own troops. I mean, it's again, a modest, I think, figure would be at least 10,000, probably to 12,000. Ukrainians peg it a lot more than that, but I know sort of U.S. intelligence assessments have it around that. That's huge. I mean, you look at the U.S. lost about 2,500 soldiers in Afghanistan over 20 years. And I mean, that, was obviously too many to lose too, but this is in less than a month. You're looking at 4 or 5 times that. And sadly, a lot of these Russians are conscripts. These are young men with very limited training, no choice to join the military, that are being sent off to war. And, that is going to drastically, I mean, and also Russia has just lost so much of its equipment as well. So not only personnel, equipment, it's absolutely dilapidated the Russian army. And it's going to, that in itself, I don't know how Putin is going to kind of address that to the Russian people once this is all done and dusted.
Well, I don't think he cares about addressing it to the Russian people, and he'll do what he wants. But again, the numbers also that you're mentioning, I don't know if they're true or not, also because they are coming from, as you mentioned, American intelligence. So, we could be getting skewed sides from both sides. So I'm very hesitant to believe what they say, because I also know that they have a pretty good track record of, Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction and ties to Al Qaeda. So I'm just saying, I hear what you're saying, and I see that the destruction is terrible, and I'm just hoping that, hope is the most negative word in the dictionary, metaphysical dictionary. It would be wonderful if they would start talking from both NATO's end and Russia's end for a ceasefire and try to negotiate for peace. And I never hear that from anybody.
Right. Yeah, I think it's, that's also, it's very important to sort of get to that point. And I don't know Zelensky's willingness to sort of give up any territory or to kind of make any of the concessions Russia wants in order to get to that point. So it is a very difficult sort of situation. And we also can look in hindsight of what could have been said or done before this that may have prevented what's happening.
Yes.
Again, it's all 2020 hindsight, but I hope that we can take away lessons from this in terms of what, if a situation like this comes up again, what world leaders sort of have to do and say and concede upon, so we never get to this point, because it just should not be happening in this day and age.
No, it should not be happening. And my great concern is this is the beginning of World War III. I'm born in 1946, 1 year after World War II. That's not ancient history.
No.
And you go to Berlin, which I've been to, and other places in Germany, and seeing Berlin was grander than Paris before it was bombed out.
No.
You're losing the war. Why didn't they stop it before Dresden and all of this other things? And now with the new weaponry of the 21st century, they asked Albert Einstein, what weapons will be used to fight the Third World War? He said, I don't know. He said, but they'll be using sticks and stones to fight the fourth. And so for me, we really need to hear more about peace. And Only Cry for the Living is Holly McKay's book. And I would really suggest that that's a very important statement to make and a book to read. And I also want everyone to know that we also have a brand new Substack newsletter where we post updated trend forecasts throughout the entire week, and it's at trendsinthenews.substack.com, trendsinthenews.substack.com. So we'll see you there. And thank you again, Holly. And of course, I all the best to you, and you're going back to Ukraine and your safety and those of the Ukraine people. Again, I'm a warrior for the Prince of Peace, and no one seems to be talking about it right now. And to me, that's what's needed the most.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
And thank you. Bye-bye now.
Bye.